Hey everybody, this is Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and welcome to episode 15 of my Out of the Park Baseball 19 GM Challenge with the Reds. We are into September. We got exactly 25 games left in the season, and if you've been following along, some things have changed since the last episode. We've had a rough couple of months, and I ended the last episode at the trading deadline. I made a trade for a pitcher, Nelson. Traded, let me see, I forget who I traded for him. Yeah, Jimmy Nelson. I traded a prospect from my shortstop from my rookie league. He was like in the rookie leagues. That trade was not a bad thing. He is coming off a fairly bad outing, but he's picked up 4 wins and 8 starts. His ERA, for the most part, was in the 3s until this last start. That helped us going into the All-Star break. We had 2 big injuries that came up almost back-to-back in the pitching staff, and that really set us back. And one was Cole Hamels, who was my big free agent signing last offseason. He had just started pitching good and went down with a season-ending injury. And that was followed soon after by Luis Castillo, who was solid mid-rotation 3-star pitcher. He's going to be out till at least the end of the September, and that's going to be iffy if he can get back. And if we make the playoffs, hopefully he'll be ready to go for the playoffs. But that's starting to get a little iffy. We have led in that National League Central since April, for the most part. And with the injuries that have happened with that pitching staff and some others, which I'll show you shortly, we have had a hard time winning and staying above 500 in the last couple months for August and now into September. And you see Milwaukee, they're just a couple games back. The Cubs, Cardinals, still within reach with 25 left. And then we got to look at that wild card. There's several teams there really close. So if we don't win the Central, we may not be able to clinch that second wild card game. So it's looking really tough. And the primary reason for the play that we've had has been the injuries. Pitching was a big one, but if you look at For the most part, if you look at our statistics, it's still the offense that's carrying the team. We're first in on-base percentage, third in on-base and slugging, second batting average. You can see we're top 5 in a lot of categories. And one of the primary contributors to that was the rookie Shedrick Long. Well, as luck would have it, Shedrick Long went out on the disabled list several weeks ago, and he's about to come back, and I hope this doesn't really impact his play too much, because he's having, I think, a rookie of the year type year. He's been rookie of the month already 3 times this year. It's his first shot at the big leagues, and my scout already has him up to 4-star overall, 4.5 potential. Just having a solid year. And if he hadn't gotten injured, I think he would be looking at 30 plus home runs, 120 plus RBIs. He was on a real good pace. As soon as he got injured, though, excuse me, we started taking a dive. It wasn't bad enough that the pitching was hurt with those injuries. When he went down, really, the team really almost collapsed. I mean, we were 12-13, 11-16. We're 3-4 in September, so we're at a point now where we're going to have to really start turning it around, or we're not even going to make the playoffs. I still think we're going to have a better season than I thought going into this year, because after 2018, when we made that wild card, I wouldn't say it was a fluke, but I've talked about it on previous episodes. It was so unexpected. I thought this team was 3 3, 4, 5 years away from being able to build a playoff contender. So now that we're looking at coming off that, that season last year, to be able to make the playoffs again, I think that would say a lot about how strong this team is, and I'd hate to lose it. It would be bittersweet to have played the way we played and then wind up losing it down the stretch. So I wasn't able to make any more trades other than that Jimmy Nelson trade, so hopefully that's going to be enough to help the pitching staff, which, you look at the bullpen has struggled, but if you look at the staff as a whole, we are in top 10 in every category. So considering where we started in 2018 last year, it's not too bad. Sorry about that little pop-up. So now we're going to sim out the rest of the year. One other thing I wanted to mention, we are in the September, so we were able to expand the roster up to 40 players, and I've called up several. So we're at 33, which is, for the most part, that's usually more than I like to call up, even in September. But I called a few guys up, a couple pitchers, I think Tanner Rainey, Reyes, Shackelford, Weiss from AAA. And then I called up, where is he? Friedel, TJ Friedel, I think is how you say his name. I called him up too, and he was looking good in AAA. This guy, I think, has some future bench bat potential. Great ratings, great speed, and now that I mentioned that, I really need to. I don't know if this matters. Okay, so I can't set individual strategy being on that GM challenge. So I'm hoping that Girardi's going to give him the green light a lot because he's got some great speed. But I think he's got some good contact ratings. He is a lefty bat, but you can see 14 contact against right-handed pitchers. I'm hoping that he'll help me a little bit down the stretch offensively. But that's going to be it. If one last check on that disabled list, Shedrick Long's a couple days away. AAA season is for the most part done, so I won't even be able to rehab him when he comes off, so I'll have to put him back in the lineup. I'm hoping that he's healthy when he comes back. But Castillo, 5 weeks away, it's doubtful we'll even see him in the playoffs now that I think about it. But let's go ahead and sim through this next week and see if we can keep it alive. Playing the Cubs, a very tough team, and we lose those first two. So we are already a game up over Milwaukee. Shedrick Long is ready to come off, and that should put him back at starting at second. Check the news out as we go. Looks like we were shut out. So we lost the first game 8-0. Not good. Winker had a couple hits, but the rest of the team was almost hitless. And then Lynn and Finnegan really had a bad game. And then second game we lost 5-6. Hamilton leading off had a good game, but that was about it. And then Molly, who's been unfortunately a little bit more unpredictable, inconsistent in terms of how he started out the year. He's not really as solid as I would hope that he was going to be. So now let's see if we can finish out and win a game here, and we don't. Swept by the Cubs, and we are already in second place behind Milwaukee. Whew. So we're 2 games out now. The Cubs passed us. I really expected that was going to happen with those injuries. They were just decimating. So let me look at the news here. It looks like Scooter Gennett suspended for a brawl. He's already back down to 2-star player by my scout and even OSA. So much as I love Scooter, he's having a great year, real life with Cincinnati. I still think that was a good thing to trade him. So, big injury for the Yankees there. They lose Severino for 11 months. And Anthony Rizzo's on a 20-game hit streak. And American League player Willie Calhoun. National League, it was Conforto. And for power rankings, we're already in 19th. So we've moved down a lot. So we lost that last game at the Cubs 5-6. We did have Shedrick Long back, but he was hitless in that game. Walker didn't have a great game. Green blew the save. And then first game in Atlanta, we were at home, still lost 2-9. Jimmy Nelson had another bad outing. Bullpen was banged up a lot. But then we won 15-0. Friedel is getting some playtime at center. I wonder if he's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and Billy Hamilton is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So it might be a good idea to get a look at a guy like Friedel, because I don't really expect I'll be able to sign Hamilton for the contract that he wants. So Friedel in that game was 3 for 5, drove in 3, so pretty good. Winker, another solid game. Barnhart, really good game, 5 RBIs. And Gesellman, who has actually pitched a lot better second half of the season. He's got his 7th win, but 10 strikeouts in 6 2/3. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think, let me look at his splits here. Yeah, for August, he had 5 starts and a 1.65 ERA. September, he's 3 starts, a 3.60 ERA. I'm hoping that he's starting to develop. He's still just 26 years old, so that would be good news too. And then we lost the last game 3-9 against Atlanta. Another bad outing from Molly. And it looks like Long may have been hitless all week. No, he was 2 for 4 in that 15-run game. So now this week we've got Milwaukee on the road for 3 games, and then St. Louis on the road for 3 games. So another big week. Even though St. Louis is starting to lose ground on the 3 of us, they're still going to be a tough team to beat. So Milwaukee, here we go. Won the first game, lost the second one, and Brandon Finnegan is out now. And I hate to say it, but I don't think that's going to be a one that I can't overcome. But he's going to be out for the rest of the season. So no, we lost both. I'm sorry, we lost the first 2 games in this series to Milwaukee. Green, he's really stinking it up now. I don't know if he's. That's pretty much a big collapse down the stretch. 3 losses, 13.5 ERA. I may have to start reconsidering closer there. Some good pitching that is being just literally, the bullpen is really sneaking it up. He's going back to the minors. I can't afford to have him do that right now. So looking at some of the news, Houston won the American League West. So we're 4 games out now. Starting to look really doubtful that we'll make the playoffs. But we did have a good series there against St. Louis. So we're just 1.5 games back in Milwaukee. And Anthony Rizzo, 25-game hitting streak. Athletics out of the playoffs. That's a surprise. Justin Turner, 3 home runs. And Rizzo's streak ended at 27 games. Wow, that's pretty big. I wonder if that's his longest. I thought they would tell it here. It seems like they used to. Yeah, they're only showing, I guess, what's happened during the playthrough. So players of the week, Tyler McKean, I think is how you say it, and Justin Turner, more than likely, right? Yeah, he had a good week for the Dodgers. And we moved up in the weekly power rankings. We're 13th. Let's see what we did during the week. So we won that last game against Milwaukee 3-2. Friedel was starting again. And Schebler had a good game. He's up to 116 RBIs. Long was 1 for 3. And Jimmy Nelson had another good game. 7 innings, just 2 runs. And then against St. Louis, we won the first one 6-3 on the road again. Votto, good game. Winker, good game. He's probably getting close to 200 hits. He's at 191 for the year. Shedrick Long, a good game. And Gesellman didn't get the win. 3 runs in 4 innings. And then we lost 1-4. Although Senzel was 3 for 4. Waka pitched a good game, but again, I can't afford you guys to come up here and do that. So I'm going to demote him. And 5-3 in that last game. So Hamilton, a good game. Shedrick Long, another good game. Molly wasn't too bad, but he didn't get the decision in this one. So looking at the standings right now, with looks like we got 13 games left. We are 1.5 games back in the wild card race, 1.5 games back in the Central. We really need to win the Central if we're going to make the playoffs. I think New York is playing a few games better than us. It's just too much, when you got about 5 teams competing there, there's too much up in the air. It's too close. And then in the if you look at the rest of the league, looks like Atlanta's going to pretty much cruise to the division in the East. Colorado, big surprise. They're 2 games up, and they've won 7 in a row in the West with the Giants and the Dodgers. Dodgers, though, they're 6 in a row, so they might be falling apart here. And then in the American League, Boston still up pretty big, 4.5 over the Yankees. Cleveland up 5.5, and the Astros already clinched. They're at a monster year. So it looks like it would be the Yankees and Texas in the wild card the way it's looking right now. And Joey Gallo continues to hit the home runs, but 223 average. That would be pretty tough to keep that in the lineup for me with the 222 strikeouts. Stanton, a good game. Cole having a good year at Houston. He might be a Cy Young Award favorite right now. Chris Archer, though, still having a good year, just not picking up the wins. And then in the National League, Jesse Winker, second in batting average. Rhys Hoskins, who in my Phillies playthrough, which is the other series that I'm doing, Hoskins never really took off. He didn't have that great of a career in that playthrough. But let's see. He's having a good year here, though, 2019. Arenado's having another good year, too. Baumgartner's leading the league in wins now, 15, tied with Tehran and Waka. And then Syndergaard having a great year. 13 wins, but 2.48 ERA, 232 strikeouts. He might be the Cy Young favorite right now. So let's go ahead now and play the next week out. Good news, we got Kansas City, who's I think the worst record in base. No, Toronto has a worse record. So we got Kansas City at home, and then St. Louis at home. So let's hope that this is a good week for us. Lost the first one, Kansas City, and holy cow, Chris Sale throws a no-hitter, but Nick Senzel suspended for 4 games. Wow. Looks like there was a wild brawl there against Kansas City. Not the team not that it matters, but why Kansas City? So he's having a good game too, unfortunately. But Nelson pitched a good game, but we lost in extra innings. And then we won the second game of the series 9-1. Winker had another good game. Shebler, Profar had a good game, and then Lance Lynn pitched his game of the year. 8 innings, just 1 hit, 10 strikeouts. So let's go ahead and finish the week. Last game against Kansas City. And come on. Nope. I don't know why I did that, but looks like Christian Yelich is injured for Milwaukee. So come on, let's 1.5 games back still. And we lost the last game against... And we lost the first game against St. Louis. I think we're probably done. We're 3 games back now, and here's some other news. Shedrick Long injured again. But not serious, so that's good. But he's really, since he came off the DL, he's really struggled. He's hit 220. He was struggling a little bit in August. So hopefully the magic hasn't left with him. But man, 1-7 that last game against Kansas City. Offense just was cold. Selman had a bad game. Lost the opener at St. Louis 1-7. Waka hit really hard. Romano hit hard. So we got to turn it around. We got 2 more games here. Let's go. We're done. I think that may have pretty much ended our season in terms of the playoffs. We lost 4 in a row, 5 of 6 against really competition we should have done well against. So Jose Ramirez out. He was the MVP last year in this playthrough. Mariners out. Austin Hayes, Player of the Week. And then Anthony Rizzo, who's turned it on here in September. He was the Player of the Week. And again, he's got a good chance to be Player of the Month or Batter of the Month. And then weekly power rankings were down to 17th. Indians win the Central. So not a good time to just collapse, but the injuries they were too much, and I think we just lost our momentum. Oh, Nelson, a bad game. That's what I'm telling myself anyway. It's hard to tell. I mean, this is really, at the end of the day, it's just it's a simulation, but it's really hard to tell what could have caused something like that. But we're now, if you look at how we did, I mean, 11-16, 8-17 in September. So it looks like maybe the law of averages just finally caught up to us. But hopefully it won't be too big of a negative on either our fan interest or because our attendance has gone up like 50%. So we're gonna have more money for sure to play with in the off season, and I'm hoping that makes a difference going into next year. But it looks like we are 3.5 out of the wild card, 4 back. Now the Cubs have overtaken Milwaukee, who's lost 5 in a row. We would literally, I think, have to win all 7 games remaining to have a chance at this. So let's just play them out game by game until we're eliminated or until we clinch. And we're starting out 4 games at Pittsburgh, who they're already eliminated. But I don't know if that's going to be good or bad. First game, we won 4-3. And our player development update just came out. I may take a look at that, just a quick glimpse. So Waka took a few hits. I'm just not sold on him long term. I mean, he wants $23 million now. Shackford took some hits. Reyes, Tyler Mahle, his movement improved. That's good because I think his movement was what was holding him back. Herget lost a little bit there, but he's having a rocky year. Peraza actually improved defensively. Friedel, his eye went up, so that's good. See if there's any big looking to see if there's any big movement from some of my prospects here. Here's a Vladimir Gutierrez, who is 2.5 star starter potential. So I'm not really seeing a whole lot there, honestly. But I'll focus more in depth on that in the off season. So Justin Turner out. That was probably a big blow for them. Benintendi, the top batter in the American League, out in September. He had a great month. Rizzo, of course, was Player of the Month in the National League. Eduardo Rodriguez, Pitcher of the Month for American League. Syndergaard, Pitcher of the Month in the National League. And Willie Calhoun looks like he's starting to show some life here in this playthrough. And Monty Harrison, who I'm not familiar with, but he was with Miami. So we won the first game 4-3. We're now 3.5 games back. Hamilton, a pretty decent game. Long 3 for 4. Nunez played in this one 3 for 4. And Gesellman picked up his 8th win. Green his 38th save. So Chicago won. So we're 4.5 games back. So let's keep seeing what we can do. So the second game against Pittsburgh. Oh, I'm sorry, we lost the second game. We lost 2-6. I must have skipped over that one. And Lynn, bad outing, five runs. But then we won 9-3. And a lot of good offense there. Votto 2 for 4, drove in 4. But if you notice, Votto's average is down to 270. And he's a 3-star player. And I've talked about this previously in another playthrough, I think. It looks like I'm going to have to eat his contract earlier than I'd hoped. Because in this playthrough, one of the things that, when you have like veteran players, one of the things that when they're starting to get to the end of their career, the game will show that usually by these kind of ratings, where their max ratings might still be high, but their actual has dipped. And usually if there's a gap, that's even worse, because that means that he's not playing up to his potential for the most part, or at least what his potential used to be. So you can see with Votto, there's a 4-point gap in contact, 3 in power, 1 in gap power, 1 in discipline, 2 in Ks. So he's probably starting in this playthrough, in this game, in this season here in Out of the Park Baseball, it looks like he might be starting to fade. And holy cow, he's got 5 years left. And that last year, even though it's a team option, it's a $20 million team option. So I hope that that's not what's going on, but that really does look like this game is, they're showing his decline a little bit early. But he has struggled the second half. 219 average in June, okay in July, August 269, 200 in September. That's not typical of Joey Votto. So that's bad news that's bad to see that. But back to the game, Waka picked up his 16th win. So a good game for us, but that may have put us so the Cubs won the Central. Looks like Milwaukee struggled there down the stretch too. And, we are 3 games back of the wild card. So it really is going to come down to, we'll have to win the last 4 and hope that the Giants and Dodgers lose. And let's see, this could be it. And we lose. So we're not mathematically out of the playoffs, but we have to win out. There's no other choice now. And the other teams have to lose out. So we lost 2-4. Uh, Molly lost his 12th loss. And Boston won the East. And Colorado, kind of a big surprise there. They won the National League West. So 3 games against Chicago to end the season. First game, we won 7-1. And we're out. That's really disappointing because we were, if you looked at the playthrough earlier, two episodes ago, we were playing like 650. We were literally leading that Central Division. I would say, just looking at the team, in April, May, and June, we were leading the Central, and those injuries. I think the biggest one, honestly, was losing Cole Hamels when he was starting to get hot, and then back to back almost losing Castillo. I think that really hurt our momentum, and there's no question Shedrick Long having him hurt, and I think it may have. I think we probably lost a month of Shedrick Long because even though he may not have been injured that long, it probably took him another week or so to get back playing the way he had been playing, which I still think he's got a chance at rookie of the year. But we won that first game 7-1. That guaranteed. We're guaranteed a winning record. So Long was good in this game, 3 for 4, scored 3. He's up to 24 home runs. Nelson picked up his 6th win. He's been spotty, but I know he's got one more year of arbitration. I think I'm going to have to depend on him. He might be one guy that I try to keep around because he's got 4 good stamina, 4 solid pitches. I think he might be, if I can get, with the money I have, if I get a true number 1 starter, Nelson I think would be a good mid-rotation type starter. So now, second game against Chicago, we lose 2-9. Profar's been pretty good off the bench too. Look at that. And his ratings don't necessarily show the performance that he's had, but he's hitting 309, 392 on base percentage, 2.1 wins above replacement, which is pretty good for a bench player. But he has gotten 73 starts, so Girardi has played this guy quite a bit. He likes him a lot. But pitching, it was Gesellman, bad outing. And Rainey, who's a rookie, I was just, that may not have been the best idea either, is call up so many rookies in September, but I was hoping that there might be a few of them that would do really well. So Milwaukee's out too. And last game of the season, and we lose 2-6. So we finished 83-79, actually worse than what we did last year, which I felt like that might be the kind of season we were going to have, but I did not think we would have this kind of a second half. Really bad, considering where we were. But looking at the news, Michael Wacha, he's wanting a contract extension, but way too much money. And I don't know if he would be a compensation, if I would get a compensation pick if he's signed. I doubt it, but that would be nice too if it happens. So the Dodgers are in, and the Angels, I'm sorry, that's the American League. And let's go ahead and take a look at that. I think I already looked at, no, Lynn lost the game, Rainey. Long finished at 298. But Votto, God, his average is down to 266. Man, that's going to be bad news. Really bad news going into the offseason. So let's look at how the standings finished up. So it was Boston winning the American League East. Yankees finished in the wild card with the Angels. Houston, 110 wins. Indians, they won the Central pretty easily. Looks like Toronto had the worst record in baseball for the 2019 season, but the Royals weren't too far behind. Gallo led the league. Well, he was tied with Stanton, 54 home runs. Jose Ramirez had another good year at Cleveland. He might have a chance at the MVP again. He was injured there down the stretch, or he would have probably put up better numbers. Garrett Cole finished with 18 wins, led the league. Chris Sale, 2.77 ERA. Giles, 37 saves, led the league. And then Winker struggled too in the second half. After, winning Player of the Month, Batter of the Month, I think for May or June. He was at 281 in July, 253 in September, 174 in October. One of the things I think I've already gone through. No, I've got a few personnel moves that I can look at. I did re-sign Don Long as the hitting coach, and he was actually rated good when I re-signed him. Now he's back to average. Pitching coach is down to average as well. Wonder if I could resend that. Yeah. I'm going to look for a better hitting coach in the offseason. That was a pretty big collapse in that second half, and it was really the offense that started collapsing, because pitching was still, for the most part, considering where we had been as a team, wasn't doing too bad, but we took a dive in hitting, and we just couldn't overcome it. But back to the standings, so it was the Braves in the East, but hey, the Mets came on and made the wild card. Then the Cubs won the Central, then Colorado and the Dodgers. So no real dominant teams in the National League, so it should be interesting to see what happens in the playoffs. In terms of individuals, Rhys Hoskins made it to 50 home runs. Pretty good for him. Winker was third, tied for second, in batting average. Hamilton led the league in stolen bases. Bumgarner and Waka tied for the league in wins. And then Melanson finished with 44 saves. Noah Syndergaard, though, had a pretty good year. Clayton Kershaw was injured. I think he missed a few starts, but he finished with a 6.0 wins above replacement. So that's going to be it for the regular season. I'll probably go through, finish the playoffs, and send through the awards, and I'll probably pick it up the next episode at free agency. And with the holidays coming up, it'll probably be a while before I get to the next episode. It might even be either just before or after the 4th. I'll see what kind of time I have. But the good news is, believe it or not, if this is ironic, or I don't know if you would call it ironic or whatever, but one of the things I'm going to do over the holidays, I'm taking a long weekend, and I'm going to go see the Reds play, which is about a 4.5-hour road trip for me. But I like their stadium. I love their stadium. It's a really good baseball town. I love the fact that their stadium's downtown, really convenient if you manage to get a hotel downtown. And so I'm going to go see a game. We're actually going to go see them play against the White Sox at home early next week. Depends on what kind of time we have. We're going to be up there Sunday. We might see two. We might see them play the Brewers, but I'm looking forward to it. If you've been following baseball this year in real life, the Reds, as bad as they may have started out, they've started playing really good. And Riggleman, I think the last time I looked, I think his record with them has either gotten to or just above 500. So they've really turned it around. I think they had a 6-game winning streak recently. Their offense is playing really good. In some ways, a lot like the playthrough that I had going so far. Offense has not been the problem with this team. It's definitely been pitching, and looks like that's the struggle the real life Reds are having, but they're starting to turn it around. But as for me, I'm hoping my owner's not too upset with this season. I knew his expectations were high after last year, but we just couldn't hold it together. Sometimes the injuries, I've got them set to the default, and sometimes you have a bad year like this. Sometimes you have several bad years like this in a row, and it's the way it averages out. But this year, no question, injuries kept us from the playoffs. Um, but here's to next year and next episode. I appreciate you guys watching, liking, subscribing. Hope you liked the episode, and tune in. I'll be back next week for episode 16. Thanks for watching.